or what I want to share is that in spite, if say someone like a Simi auntie would have taken my criteria and matched me with my husband's, there was no way on earth that she would have paired us together because of all the 4 or 5 things, like she shows in her bio data I had. I don't think there was even one of them that matched. For example, I wanted somebody who was an extrovert. I wanted somebody who lived in a nuclear family. I wanted somebody who worked in the creative space. And what I have is somebody who prefers smaller do's, not so fond of travel, lives in a big fat joint family. And yet here we are, 18 years later, happily married, looking forward for the next 40, 50, how many ever we can have. So Kirti, let's start with you. What is it that you were looking for? You had an arranged marriage, right?
Well, I would call it arranged. Yes, I met a lot of people through all these dating, matchmaking, even professional matchmaker sites. So I
Okay.
think when you start thinking of arranged marriage, because the first thing it goes on is you have this search box, right? So in this search box, you need to put in your criteria. So
Yeah.
of course, yes, when I saw her criteria, I just burst out laughing because it reminded me of how bad my criteria was. So he had to be educated. Ivy League preferred because, of course, he should be better educated than I am. He should be North Indian because I am North Indian. And he should be earning well. Of course, he should be a good person. He should be family oriented. He should be decent looking. I think the list was very, very long. So, and when I saw her put it up, it just made me realize how outrageous even my own list was.
Okay. So compared to your list, what do you think your husband did he kind of fit into the criteria of everything that you wanted, or was he different?
I first of all, he's not North Indian. Yeah. So that is the first,
So
of
you didn't
course.
have the North Indian.
Let's start from there. So I think
Okay.
what happens in this matchmaking market is, it's because even today we've gotten so technologically savvy. Everything is in a search box. Tell me what is the height you want of the person. Tell me what is the education level. Tell me what the age is. So you start thinking in those criteria, even in terms of traits and stuff. So yes, you get kind of conditioned, but yes, my husband probably matches 50, 60%
So
of
this was
my
what
traits.
my thing is, yeah, that it is never, because same thing. Supposing you had someone like a Simi Mami or Simi Kaki on that, or
I
whatever
did
she
have
was.
a semi auntie, by the
Oh,
way.
you did.
I had also a professional match.
Okay. Because if she had to match you, it would be like, acha, nahi, North Indian, nahi, acha, not this one, not that one. There would have been so many no's. But see, yet here you are, married, happy, kids, everything. So, my thing is that I don't know. I know this is a way to meet people because everybody is so busy. But how much of it is really true? Surbhi, why don't you share with us what you think or what your checklist was?
Yeah. So the first thought was extremely scary to get married. And, when I was studying in college, we had this huge ad put up on the notice board, which very, very clearly stated, girls from LSR need not apply.
Oh God, that is hilarious.
I was like, okay, so which means I am not going to have an arranged marriage at anyway. So this is it. Now I need to hunt for a boyfriend myself, like all of us friends thought we would. But you know what? I ended up with a proper newspaper ad matchmaking, which happened. And then thankfully things have all fallen into place. But yes, there were all those criteria at that time also. So very clearly it had to be about education and the qualification, and Ivy League was anyway preferred. So, which is what Sukirti also said. I think
This is
somewhere.
our second Ivy League. Yeah.
Well, Ivy League in India.
See, this is how it happened.
IIT.
Right? Yeah. So we can have all the fun that we can now with sitting with friends and saying, oh, it was all about IIT and nothing more.
So did you get
then
what you
yes,
wanted?
there were other things also. Most of it, yes. It has lasted and it's doing quite well with God's grace. 23 years into it now.
That's nice. Aparna, let's go to you. What is it that you had in your checklist, and how far does your husband fit into your criteria?
So, checklists have changed over the years.
No,
So
yours as the time that you wanted. When you were younger.
No. So the thing is that my marriage was never in my plans as such, like plan of life. So settling down, the concept was never in my plans. I mean, I was okay if I would get married. I was okay if I didn't get married. I think वो Bengali black magic family हूँ ना मैं. So
What do you mean by
sorry,
black
that's a
magic?
trending topic these days. How Bengali girls are black magic girls.
Black magic, yeah.
So I'm a black magic girl. So my parents never really, like, they didn't have a wo on this Bengali se shadi karni hai ki, nothing like that. My only thing was should listen to R.D. Burman and Gulzar, because, like, you know, I love those two people. Should listen to Hindi music as well as English music. Should not have any problems with what I wear, and should be more intelligent than regular people, because I like to talk and I like to have people who are having conversations. So before I married my husband, उसमें 2 और criteria भी थे. One of them was should be athletic. I mean, I know match नहीं करता, लेकिन all my exes have been like that. And should be South Indian for some reason, like, you know, like a generic taste, I think.
Is it because South Indians are kind of known or
tall, dark, handsome thing?
intelligent?
You know, it was a tall, dark, handsome thing. Football भी खेलेगा, intelligent भी होगा, IIT में भी पढ़ेगा. IIT में नहीं पढ़े, लेकिन कम से कम, you know, and shouldn't stop me in my career. So out of this, the only thing that is not there is the tall, dark, handsome. नहीं, tall है, dark नहीं है, handsome भी.
Be nice. You're live.
He's not around me, so I can say it. And but he is super intelligent, not at all from a conservative family. I had thought I am a non-vegetarian, so he should be non-vegetarian, but he's a pure vegetarian. So, you know, tiny things that I always thought would matter somehow don't matter. We have been together for 7 years now, more or less happy. Let's see. I think it was a love marriage, so I think there goes one criteria wala vote, kyunki choice to meri hai ultimately.
Okay, Deepanshi, is there something you'd like to share with us about your checklist?
My checklist was quite simple, nothing much. I just wanted an understanding partner, and being tagged as a not a marriage material thing during my college days. So I was always afraid of getting into any sort of relationship or getting married. So as Aparna said, that I also belong from that Bengali black magic family. So parents are more keen on, you get settled with a good job rather than with a good guy. But yes, I wanted my combination was quite weird, because I wanted a Bengali guy. But he should look like South Indians, then dil se Punjabi hona chahiye and all. But fortunately, I got a combo of everything, and it was an arranged marriage. So my checklist was like all ticked.
Where do you guys think love fits in all this? Because, you know, we've all spoken about our checklists and all. In an arranged marriage, I just want to understand, when we talk of matchmaking, we're obviously looking at an arranged match. So where does love fit in? Does it happen? Is that a chemistry that you feel instantly? Something that makes you want to meet again? How is it that it works? Any of you?
I can go. I mean, definitely you are. I mean, the first meeting, I think that's why even in the Indian matchmaking, that first meeting has a lot of pressure. Because somehow when you're meeting in such an arranged setting, you have to feel some kind of attraction. Something that says, okay, this was interesting about him. I want to meet him again. So that pressure on that first meeting for you to also be your best, the other person. And it is a lot of I think, emotional kind of upheaval, because you're expecting like fireworks. Even it doesn't matter what your age. You're expecting that there will be some kind of magic. You'll be in tune. So yes, I was definitely expecting that. If not the first meeting, and if it was lukewarm, you'd say, okay, let's meet the second time. If by the third time there was no chemistry, there's no way.
Yeah. Is that the same, say, for you, Surbhi, Aparna?
Absolutely. I think the first time we met so formally, but when we got talking, we just got talking. And, we were to be told that, okay, it's time and the guy needs to leave. And, but I think that chemistry did happen in the first go for me. And I did want to meet him a second time. And that was that. There was no third at all.
Okay, I'm just going to ask our technical supports to please play. We've got a few ads that we found hilarious, and I'd like for our audience to see them as to what kind of criteria people actually have asked for in the news. Non-Facebook user. I mean, here I think they're expecting child rearing should be there. She should be patriotic. She should be this and she should be that. What happens to the man? Shouldn't, when we as women take out ads, shouldn't we also say that I want him to be good? He should be able to change a diaper. He should do this. He should do that. I think we should also start updating our qualities in men. Don't you guys think?
I like that non-feminist.
Yeah, seriously. Is there anyone from our audience who would like to share their checklist before we move on to the show? Okay, no one. So coming to the Indian matchmaking show, I'm sure most of us have caught an episode or maybe more of it. Been through arranged marriages, love marriages. What is your first reaction that you felt, you know, as a woman after seeing that show? Did it make you feel happy? Is it cringe-worthy or binge-worthy? That's the tagline of our show. So what is it? What is it? What is that first thing that, you know, that caught you or touched you when you saw it? Sukirti?
I thought it was binge worthy because I watched all the 8 episodes in one go. Even my husband watched some of it with me. And please do remember, I was raised in the US. So I found a lot of it relatable. I found it was actually, yes, of course, some of it hits you, but it hits you because you're saying that, okay, I have seen this happen. This is something that is not devoid of reality.
Okay. Deepanshi, what about you?
I found it binge worthy, and I like the fact how the story was, or the series was conceived or composed, that they had compared the US as well as the Indian thing. So people in the US were also seeking matches, and then there were people in India who were seeking matches and who were having just very you can say absurd requirements कि लड़की हाँ 5'3" से ऊपर चाहिए, उससे नीचे नहीं चलेगी.
Yeah, but what I didn't personally think interesting or nice on that show was that first she's just jet setting from say one elite house to another. We have like in the Indian caste system, you know, you have Brahman, Kshatriya, Shudra. In a way, I think this matchmaking thing also has it, whether we or not. The elite matrimony, then matrimony for the uber rich, matrimony for, you know, I don't know, it's kind of divided in classes, not really said as much, because what I thought or saw on that show was from seeing, say, that Pradyuman's closet, which was so, you know, grand and huge. It's probably 2 apartments in Bombay. You know, it makes you feel like from that, you know, and he's so fussy and he's ready to, he sees 20, 30 girls and all of them is no. What is the basis that you would reject a girl and then suddenly say yes to somebody who's a model? So in the end, it is just beauty, right? That really matters. There's nothing else at first look. Is that what this show, in a way, I think is trying to portray?
So, am I audible?
Yeah. Hello?
Hi, I think we are facing some technical issue. Just give us a second, please.
So I can take it up from there, because you know what's happening is when you look at the show, you know, first I also thought about it when he said, okay, I want somebody that's fair and beautiful. But I also then looked deep inside myself and I said, you know what? I also wanted somebody who was better educated than me and was earning more than me. So we may all have criteria. There may be something for somebody, something for somebody else. So I was not judging so much on the criteria, but I was judging more on the fact that, yes, maybe deep down when we do look, do we actually have a criteria? Do we have a list? Do we actually think about the list? It may be different. Some may say fair, some may say beautiful, some may say X. But what really bothered me was her constant saying you need to compromise and adjust. And marriage is about compromise and adjustment. What was your take on that for all of you?
So can I put in my 2 cents on the criteria bit first?
Please do.
So, you know, the thing is, there is a difference in what I see about criteria today and what I would I would assume was criteria 20 years ago. You know, so I'm not saying that it is right, wrong today or it was right then. I am just saying that times have changed. We are now more global. We are now more interconnected. We are now more woke. We now understand more of society. So now going for, I want to have a fair bahu, I think, or, you know, I'm not talking about education or, you know, income, because those are practical thoughts. Because if you are an MBA and if your partner is an MBA, then you're probably will have a more well settled life. Sorry for using those quotes, but that's true. You know, financially you will be more secure. But when it talks about fair and homely, so that criteria irks me. So when that criteria comes, it irks me, because that has got nothing to do with any practical issue in your life. You know, and what is handsome, what is fair, you know, so then you are basically propagating fair and lovely, you know, but fair is lovely. You are constantly talking about that. I am not saying that deep down I have not done it. I am just saying that maybe in today's time, that idea of what you know fair is and what all of these things are, and that has to be a criteria based level, is problematic. I do not think that, you know, your personal aesthetics will go away. Of course, some people are attracted to fat people, some people are attracted to thin people, some people are attracted to tall people, and it's fine if you're looking for that in your life partner. But making that the base and nothing else, where you actually talk about fair and homely before you talk about, you know, intelligent or independent, that is problematic for me. So this is what I feel. Compromise and all, that is probably secondary, and I can probably talk about it after everybody else does.
Yeah, but Aparna, I'm going to say something here. Okay, fair and lovely. I understand that, you know, everybody has their own personal thing, which is fair enough. But when we host or create shows like this, for example, here when we're looking at a Saas Bahu show or something, what are we saying to Ekta Kapoor? That it's not true. This is not how life is in real, but this is what is getting portrayed, and a majority chunk of our Indian population is looking at it and aspiring to be like that. So don't you think, as a maker of that show, I'm not judgmental, but I'm just saying it also, along with
there
this,
is a responsibility
we have a little responsibility.
There is a responsibility there.
Yeah, a lot of people need to, you know, see and understand that, okay, you want fair is fine, but more than fair, you need to look at respect. You need to look at, you know, values, ethics, things like that, which count, which will take it to the end. Otherwise, you know, it's not going to be a happy, conducive atmosphere at home. So
I absolutely agree, and especially because, you know, the thing is that we learn trickle down theory in economics and math in fashion. Okay, like, yeah. So what the rich do or what the affluent do, or what is shown in popular culture, that here it's Netflix or maybe on television, that trickles down. So, you know, the thing is that then people start giving excuses like, agar wo kar sakte hai, to I'll tell you a very funny story. So my mom-in-law or my in-laws actually don't really care about how I look. In fact, she joked about, oh my God, tere baal kitne achhe lag rahe when I shaved my head. So they're very chill otherwise. So once some family friend had attended, like, you know, come home or something, and they said, Arey, Aparna to normal bahuon ki tarah sajti nahi hai. And, you know, my mother-in-law was upset, and she was not really complaining, but she was like, you know, Aparna, kabhi to jewelry pehen ke ghoom liya karo. And I was like, okay. But I realized that somebody educated and somebody so open-minded, if she could be affected because of this, I am sure there are so many other people who are so affected because and she's not a Saas Bahu serial watcher. So, you know, okay. I know so many people who binge watch it and they think that is how life is. Like, you know, their bahus will get up in the morning and they will have like this big jhumkas or itna zyada jewelry, and they will wash their laptops with sabun. Their husband's laptop, there was a show like that. It was really cringeworthy.
I haven't seen that one. Really?
I will send you a clip someday.
Okay. Surbhi, what are your views on this?
I didn't like the entire idea of the show at all. I wish such things were not shown. They're so regressive. We as a society in India, at least, you know, we just absorb everything that's being shown to us. And it would do a lot of good if people, while making these shows, would be a little more responsible while making them. The idea of taking one person to a life coach and another one to a panditji and a third one to an astrologer and then trying to get them together.
But
the whole.
Shruti, don't you think that is actually what is happening? I mean, we may say that this show is cringeworthy and it makes us boil up. But when I look around me and I'm looking in a very affluent, very high up society, if I am seeing it happening around me, and I am saying, and I'm coming from the US, so I'm also seeing it happening there, I'm seeing it happening here. So are we just saying that we don't like the reflection of society? Because society maybe 10% has changed. But 90%, and I'm saying even the people that are around me, 80 to 90%, I would still say reflect those kind of views.
But don't you think that's problematic when you're celebrating something like this? Because the thing is, they're not showing it like a documentary that this is wrong. They're showing it like a documentary that, oh, this is awesome. Karo. Yahi chalta hai. Yahi hona chahiye. My problem is there with this show.
It was more like yahi hota hai, because I come from a small town, and even the most affluent people over there, they are sailing in the same boat. They have the same sort of criteria and everything. So there is no difference. And what I could see is, I just thought it's exactly the reflection of society, like whatever is happening around. And every time, no matter what, whenever you're looking, going for an arranged marriage, it's always, your physical parameters are the judging factor. We cannot deny the fact. Like I was asked by many of the people, yes, thoda lose karo, weight lose karo, ladka milna mushkil ho jayega. So, and then don't be so high-headed. Don't have high ambitions, or don't be very ambitious about your work. Don't have aspirations. ऐसे नहीं चलता है. You have to settle down for lesser things in life. So
no, but why, Deepanshi? I'm going to interrupt you here. Why should you settle down for lesser things? I know it's a ground reality that these things happen. I agree with you. I agree with Sukirti. It is true. But the thing is that I disagree with the statement that we should settle for lesser things than we deserve. Because I think somewhere with changing times, we are capable, and only if we prove and we show ourselves that if we believe in ourselves that we are capable, only then can we pass it around. If today in my joint family, if I hear them talking about a girl, okay, for example, this is in an extended situation where the boy was gay. The family knows it, okay? And they were sitting around at a wedding about 8 or 9 years ago, and I was not so new, but I wasn't so old either. Or 8 years into my wedding, and they were talking about having him settled, and everybody was talking about it and talking about a girl in the town, and I'm listening to it, and I had to stop in the middle to say, you need to stop, because whether you accept it or not, he is gay. I got a lot of flack for it in my own house later to say, you cannot say that in front of elders. But what would have happened to that girl should that boy have gotten married to her? There would have been no life. It would have been a perfect match. बहुत अच्छा रिश्ता था, बहुत पैसा है, बहुत सब कुछ है. It's a very, very good match, but it's not the right, it's not the fair thing to do. So my thing is, we need to speak up a little bit in our own way.
I think the problem is, see, I got married at 45. But that means you need to be very sure that you are able to say that marriage is not the be all and end all. The problem is that in society, we have been put this thing into our heads that shaadi karna hai, chahe kitne bhi achhe kar rahe ho, that you have to get married. And it
wasn't that a choice you had?
I had a choice. And I'm very glad that I had a choice. I was not forced. Nobody can said to me that, listen, you need to get married, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I was also financially independent enough that I could make my own decisions, that I could choose that if I did not want to get married till 45, or even if I didn't want to get married for the rest of my life, it was okay. But even then, the problem is even in the mindset of people that if you're not married, सब लोग यही पूछते थे, क्यों नहीं शादी हुई? You're very hard-headed, तुम्हें कोई मिलता नहीं है, you're too obsessed with your career. And none of those things were there. It was because I did not feel I met the right person. But that
is fair enough.
No, I'm saying, but to society, that answer is not an acceptable answer.
Okay, my question is, what is society? This society, when we talk about to society, it's not acceptable. We're talking about society. We give it so much of our life importance, and in the end, when we really need society to stand by us, we have nothing. We only have those 2, 3, 5 friends and family that really would swear by us. So why are we giving so much of importance ki society ya log kya kahenge?
Actually, your personal priorities, you need to be very strong. And if you can and say, listen, I don't want to get married, and I love I would be happy if I'm married, but if I don't. But if you cannot make that very much that personal judgment, that personal statement, and say, listen, I know, and I know what my priority in life is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's a very personal thing. But I think a lot of people succumb to the pressure. And that's
So
what
Kirti, can I add something to this? The thing is that, you know, you and and I'm also counting myself, and I think all the people who are in the panel today, we are actually lucky to be so privileged that,
Yes.
you know, we had the choice of even saying no to the boy, or we had the choice of being strong. We had the choice of, acha, theek hai, even if not parents, at least friends are with us. But there is actually, I was reading about a feminism movement today about how the rich women have more to lose. You know, the richer you are, you have more to lose by not adhering to society rules. You know, it's a very interesting concept that they were talking about. So societal rule, in the sense, if your parents feel that you are being slighted, you know, they are being slighted because you are not agreeing to get married, the girl has more to lose by not listening to her parents than if you were poor. Because if she was poor, she could break away and she would have, you know, like she wouldn't have lost out on all of the dreams that she had, you know, padhai nahi rukegi, all of those things. She would have to do it anyway. She would have to fight for it anyway, whether she was forced or not. I think, you know, the more financially affluent you are, it was a concept that was talking about that, like, you know, the more financially affluent you are, the more you have to lose if you say no to the society, no to your parents, no to your joint families, etc.
So speaking of parents, I'd like Manju say it. Could you please unmute yourself? Manju? So she says a very interesting thing. She says when parents draw up criteria, they have their own perspective, which brings me to the question that as a parent and as a child, are the criteria different? I'm sure they are, because, you know, as a person, you want something. And Manju, is that you? Manju? Okay, I'm going to read out her question. So she says, when parents draw up criteria, unfortunately, they have their own perspective. Values, ethics are presumed, I think. Popular culture influences a certain category of people, even though much of it is cringe-worthy. How does one presume that this person has a value or is morally correct? So, Surbhi, what would you have to say to that? How do you just assume that, iske values achhe hoenge? Yeah, he's brought up well. Just by looking at family.
Yeah, looking at the family does make a difference, maybe, and from experience, maybe parents can get a wider perspective on how the family is doing, or as in old times, they would go out, find out from others. There were always connections which were made. You made sure that yes, by and large, things were okay. Where things are not okay, you do get to know. Just as you're saying, you know, if not today, tomorrow, somebody else would have said that the boy is gay. So those things will come out. But yes, when you're working or you have a settled business or you're a professional family, I think by and large, it is not so difficult, which is one of the most important criteria for parents. So the point of view being different, yes, it's going to be that, because, you know, with the younger generation finding their own set of companions, they would have probably completely different criteria. And absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think if they're taking their own decisions, and as I see the youngsters doing, they're taking their own decisions, they're taking their own time, whether they want to get married or not, whether they want children or not. And I think it's absolutely good if they do that, instead of the imposition that was there in the earlier times, which would, you know, by the end of life, you will see the couples fighting and, you know, divorcing it after 50 years of marriage. Let all that not happen. I'm sure the younger ones will do better.
So how do you think, Sukhi, if I were to bring this up to you, that as a mother, I know you have very young children, but as a mother or a mother-in-law to be, what do you think you would want in the ideal, say, daughter-in-law? If you want to talk about women.
I mean, I would be thinking son-in-laws. So of course, yeah, I would want to know.
Okay, son. No, okay, let's talk both perspectives. Let's talk about sons-in-law first, and then maybe we could come to daughters-in-law, because it's nice to know both sides.
I don't even think about it. I even tell my husband this. I want them to fall in love and choose their own partner. You know, it is their life. My parents, I thank the God, they gave me that much freedom. They gave me that much. And this was an older generation. Yeah. I will give my kids that freedom, that it is their choice and they need to choose who is the right partner for them. I need to work on educating them and bringing them up well.
Yeah, that's a very well said point. I think that is what we need to focus on as mothers or mothers-in-law, that, you know, bring up your children well, give them the right values, ground them, teach them ground reality, and then of course it's up to them, you know, to choose the paths that they want. So if I were to come back to this show, there are times when Seema Mami is derogatory in a certain way to women. Derogatory, I use this word strongly because I didn't like her saying, though she was, that she is unstable. For example, if you look at the first girl on that show, Aparna, she, I thought, in my opinion, was fiercely independent, probably 500% sure as to what she wanted and what she didn't want in a man. When she met that guy that she really liked, I think Shekhar, but he wasn't really working. He was more of an adventure spirit. It just didn't work for her. It was like an instant no. It's not going to work if you're not career focused. When she met somebody that she had literally given her heart to, he didn't feel the same way back. So what Seema aunties think to her was that usko compromise karna padega, adjust karo. Usme fault hai. Acha पंडित जी को दिखा दो. Why is it always like the girl will have a problem? That is what my thing is. Why is it that women are putting women down?
No, did you see the show Raat Akeli Hai? Have you guys seen it? No, it is the recent one that has come out. The reason why I bring it up, because there they're talking about the guy. And in it, the women just are as fickle. If the guy is not tall, and if he is not fair, and if he is not this, meko shaadi nahi karni. So I don't think this criteria only exists. Seema auntie might have been pointing maybe more to the girls, because in our society, it is more important that the girl get married and the guy have a good education. But I think if you look at it, the girls these days have just as strong of a criteria like we saw in this girl. You know, she had a very, very firm criteria. This is what I want in the guy that I want to be with. And most of the women actually on the show did have a very clear idea of what they wanted also in their partners.
No, I don't think so. Like, for example, say Nadia, she wasn't really sure as to, you know, she was happy with that Vinay guy and everything, but
Nadia
I don't think she was
fall in love. Nadia wanted the experience of love. She wanted the experience of being in love and romance. To her, that is how they showed her. They didn't show her as a person that said, okay, this is my tick list. Her tick list was more that, but she still wanted somebody that could understand her cultural background, somebody that came from maybe understanding. She wanted somebody that was Indian, even though they have been out of India for such a long time. So there was some basis of a criteria there. But her, I saw her more as a person who was searching for love.
Aparna has something to say about Aparna.
Go ahead.
So, you know, Aparna's, actually, I have not watched the entire show. In fact, I watched the first 15 minutes of it in totality and got like, and then left it. But I have watched clips from the show, various clips. And I'm not saying that just the meme ones, I'm like even others. So, you know, the thing with Aparna, look, adjustment and compromise are needed by both partners in different things, in different parts of your lives. Like I will snore, my husband does not snore, he doesn't like it, he has to compromise. He doesn't put the taulia in place, there is a compromise. He's vegetarian, I'm non-vegetarian, there is a compromise. So these compromises, yes, but in terms of compromising what you want out of your life partner, I thought Aparna was she was actually, I thought that she was humiliated. Had I been in her place, I would have reacted the same way as she did on BBC. I don't know if any of you have seen her interview on BBC. She actually did an interview on BBC after this, about a 5-7 minute interview about how she was portrayed and how terribly hurt she felt about it. I don't know whether that's actually true feelings or not, because I know for a fact that these shows you have to actually sign off that, okay, I am okay with this portrayal of me. But however, I felt that this entire thing of you need to compromise and you need to adjust, or, you know, tumko karna padega is a problem. I think Tina pointed out about how it was told to Pradyuman too, but it was told to the women much more than it was told to the men.
Yeah, that I agree. It was a one-off guy compared to all the other women that she said to. I have a question that I would like to ask her. Since we're talking of checklists, what do you think is a deal maker in a wedding or in a match? What is that, if I were to ask you two things that would ensure that this would match or this wedding would last? Anyone?
That is acceptance.
Respect.
Acceptance of what?
Like accepting the person and his habit as it is. Like no change is required. Nobody needs to mold herself, himself as for the partner. You have to accept your partner completely. And you have, like, everyone has their own perfections and imperfections. So it is more about understanding and it's basically acceptance and understanding that what your partner expects from life, it's not from me, or what he expects from his life and what I expect from my life. And then it's just figuring out things, sitting together and just put the blocks together. That's it.
Yeah, but Pooja, I do have a question here. Please tell me what happens when during the same lifetime you have different expectations at different phases of life. I'm a vegetarian.
That is a very valid question.
I'm a non-vegetarian tomorrow. I may want to become a vegetarian again. Am I going to change partners because these criteria?
No, but then
somewhere I think that
no, but you have to, you accept, right?
Yes, that's
it. I mean, you see what you
respect, giving that autonomy, giving that space, adjusting together for both equally is where I think the final settlement will be.
It'll rather than adjust, I would rather say communicate. Communicate.
Conversation.
I think I would like to use a more positive word, because
yes, I agree.
Question of adjustment feels like you're being pressured to do something, whereas you have to, with any party, you have to communicate and figure out what will work for the two of you. So respect and communication is what I think is key.
Right. So what happened to Nadia? I mean, when she got so bugged and she was so feeling so sad about the fact that he did not show up in front of her friends, how difficult was it to communicate and settle that thing down? You know, it may just have been a very small incident for all you know.
Right. Tina, I love what Tina has to say. She says, I hate to say this, but flexibility, which brings me back to Seema auntie, who says you should be flexible. Now, Tina, when you say flexibility, in what way? Are you just making good humor in this, or is there something else that you'd like to add on to flexibility?
Okay. Pooja, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I'm actually not saying it in a humorous way. I actually mean it. I agree with Suki about communication and respect. But when you do communicate with somebody, it might not necessarily resolve a situation or a conflict. So flexibility is absolutely essential. So unless the other party is flexible, communication might not resolve a situation. So flexibility is essential according to me.
Okay. Mala, would you like to add into this? Mala Khaitan?
There's a lot of, today's the problem is that no more family scene is there. Only children, the girl and boy, they have to adjust among themselves. And there's no family scene right now in the present scenario. Even the parents, they want children to be happy, and even children don't want parents. They want individuals to be happy and satisfied with each other. Now the scene has totally changed in today's life. I am age of 64, so I am talking about my experience.
Okay, so that means that it's fair to assume that your children live separately? Mala? Okay, while we come back
my children live with me. My children live with me. I have a joint family. I have 2 sons. My daughter happily married. But seeing the today's time, I'm also quite enterprising in the society, do a lot of matchmaking. But then I realized today the time is not girl family, no family orientation. They're only girl and boy, and after marriage, they also like to live as an individual family. All the decisions they want to make, they want to be decision maker for their life. They don't want parents, both side parents, to interfere at all.
But in a way, that's a nice thing, right? Because you've empowered them to be able to make their own decisions. So I think it's nice if we kind of, take a step back and see what they do and how they make their choices. Would you agree?
Of course, I do agree, because then they take ownership each and every decision they make. And that's the time one should do it. I should allow them to make their own decision, either choosing the partner or the family or the boy or the girl and the way they want to live. because what we as a family, we think as a typical Marwadi family is totally different. But now the children thought process is totally different. Both, we have to understand the girl and boy equally educated. They both are earning members. So we should allow that space to the girl. No more bahu scene, no more that scene. She has also have a right to live the way she wants to live in her house. And if she wants to work, let her work. If she don't work, it is okay.
I think we need more mothers-in-law like you.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Said, Malaji.
Yeah. Pramila Kulkarni, your question, would you like to come up and ask us yourself?
I didn't really understand the question, as in because a lot of them were saying that flexibility as it came. Was it regarding the marriage lasting, or was it during making the match? Like when you said, what is the deal breaker? So
no, deal maker. As in, what is the thing?
Sorry, deal maker. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I answered the 4 criteria which is considered in a typical, very typical arranged marriage setup is the family, money, education, and looks.
Right.
That's a very typical arranged family setup. But when you're looking on your own, someone said that family is not really considered now. But I do think that family is also considered, because someone coming from a stable family background is definitely going to have a stable family life with you. They will not have a baggage of, family problems that are existing. You get what I'm saying? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. So what you're married, right? I'm going to assume that.
Yeah, I'm married.
Yeah. What is it that you had that when you were, was it an arranged marriage for you?
No, it was not an arranged marriage. I chose my partner.
So you chose your partner, and what you wanted as a young girl, is that what you found in your partner? Or is there something that just said, okay, that's it, this is the reason I want to?
I married very young. I married the first boy I fell in love with. And
okay.
So it was, for that time, during that time, that was it. I just wanted to get married to this man. I know that. And we have been married for the past 20 years and will remain married to him till the end. So luckily for me, it turned out to be really an ideal situation. I chose, at that time, I didn't know whether I chose well or no. I knew I wanted to be married to him. And we've been through ups and downs, but we worked things out together. So, and family does matter, because, family matters, man. It's India. So
you can't say that it doesn't matter whether you live with them or without them. It does matter what they feel. If they are happy with it, it just gives you that much more peace of mind.
Right. Even if you're staying away from them, I stay away from my in-laws, but we have a good equation. So if you can, and if you...
Okay, I have a very strange question. I'm going to interrupt you here, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'll interrupt you. I have a strange question for our panel, for our audience. There is a very interesting concept that this matchmaking show made me think about, considering that, most of us wanted somebody independent, financially independent, secure. What happens if a boy wants to be a house husband? How does that fit into our Indian matchmaking society?
I would have loved it, possibly.
Yeah.
Can I also answer that?
Yes,
although
please.
it's a love marriage, although it's a love marriage, so there was a joke that I will be working and he'll be chilling at home and playing games.
Okay.
So and I was joking about it with my mom, and my mom just freaked out. She was like, "Are you serious? वो घर बैठेगा तो how तुम लोग चलाओगे कैसे?" And I had to actually literally think back, and then we were talking about it, and I told her also about this, that it doesn't matter. If we are okay, then nobody else should care about whether whether he wants to be a house husband. So we are in the process of having a child, and he is now full like, I'm going to be a house husband. You go back to your work, I'll be a house husband. Great, that's awesome. That's fine. If I choose, I have taken a sabbatical. He was there with me. He supported me. If he wants to take a sabbatical or not work at all, no big deal.
But you know, I think especially in, okay, so I'm a Marwadi, married into a Punjabi family and stuff. And I remember it's a big fat joint family as opposed to my little nuclear setup that I wanted. But anyways, I remember when I had my first child, this was really strange because, you know, you have your first child and apparently in the house, the men of the house did nothing for the baby, right? You don't change diapers, you don't go drop the child to school, you don't burp the child. And I was like, I feel like a cow feeding 15 hours a day. The least you can do is pick up the baby and burp. And that first day that I gave the baby to him and said, burp her, it was like it was like a pin drop silent atmosphere in the house. Like the father is going to burp the baby. I said, yeah, the father is going to burp the baby. I mean, it's 50% his also. It's not just me, you know. Did you get me?
Absolutely.
So that is what I speak on house. He's not really a house husband.
Yeah.
What would you have to say?
A lot of work for the kids. I think he does probably more than I do because when they were actually born, I was working quite much more and he had a lot more flexibility. So he actually picked up quite a lot of the
flexibility.
My tardiness.
Yeah, for me also it works like that. So I can get up till late in the night and my husband is an early riser. So 3 o'clock was the deadline. I would wake up till 3 with the kids and after which he would take over. And both the kids being not very far apart, we needed two of us to get it going together. Without that, it wasn't possible. But the thing of house husband that you're talking about, Pooja, I'm watching a family very closely. And I think the gentleman is doing an awesome job with the kids. Teenagers, bringing them up beautifully, the mothers around when required, but other times, everything else to be taken care of, he's doing it wonderfully. And there's no harm at all if the family, sits together and decides this is the way we want to be.
But isn't that the fun? I think that there should be a show on things like this so that, when you think like this, when you talk like this, and then if you project it out to our country, I have a feeling that together collectively, like here we're trying to make a change for women. I think something like this should come up.
It's
a big one. Yeah. Can we get Kiran Sharma on, please?
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Pooja. Nice hearing about everything about. We are old. And I have been married for the last 42 years. And I'm talking about that time when we were not even asked whether you like the boy or not. You have to the father says yes, and my father-in-law says yes, and we got married. And we had.
Did you see him before the mandap?
Yeah. So, okay. But my father-in-law never asked my husband that whether you like the girl or not. It was just like that. It was a eyewash, actually. Then we got married. We had so many problems like looking after the family and taking all the bullshit from the mother-in-law and doing all the odd jobs. Now, looking back at it, it was very nice. And now my children are married and I'm really changed myself totally, I've become very nice to them, looking after them and really telling them that, okay, this is what I'm not going to ask you where you are going, what you are doing. So the things are changing. Arranged marriages are working out now. Now I think it is better to have arranged marriages because mother-in-laws are very, very happy with that. Love marriages, no issues, but arranged marriages are also very good because it is the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, and the family. They are very, very receptive. They are very, very receptive, and they are doing wonderful job. And I think my daughter-in-law, she is boasting to everybody that my mother-in-law is the best. So because we don't interfere.
That is so nice to hear.
No, we don't.
But that's a lovely thing to hear.
We really don't.
So this brings me to what. So okay. So I think what we can sort of bind at the end of the show is that we do need someone in our lives to kind of get us to meet the right people or person, right? Whether it's a matchmaker, whether it's a bua, dadi, kaki, friend, somebody that is going to introduce us to a perspective. We need someone. So what according to you, would be a solution in finding the right matchmaker first? It's not just ki, acha, we saw so-and-so dancing at a wedding and wo bahut sundar hai, dekh lo shadi, you know, for that. What do you think would be a solution to a matchmaker? What is the thing that we need to tell the matchmakers of the country, for example, that, you know, you need to change your perspective when you're finding a prospective girl or a boy? So
I think more than telling the matchmaker, we have to tell the girls, the boys, and the parents. They need to first change the perspective. I like what Twinkle Khanna said. The matchmakers are delivering just what society has asked for. They're just a conduit in between. So first, the parents and the mindset has to be changed. Second thing, I would say, and I believe, you need to meet the person at least 3, 4, 6, 8 times, you know, before you can take such a big decision. Gone are the days where you met somebody at a wedding and they were dancing and you said, chalo, you know, let's get married, and see if you really gel with that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
You know, and whether your value systems match.
Yeah.
And if you have superficial criteria, I don't have anything against that also, but still just make sure that you actually discuss it and understand that, yes, the life that you're thinking about, the life that you want, like somebody said, if somebody is very sure they want a sari clad babu, you're not the right girl for him. It's good that they are very clear about what they want. You need to be clear about what you want. And I always I can't take responsibility for anybody else, only for myself. And I need to be very clear what I want. My parents need to be very clear that they want a happy child.
Right. Meeta, what is it that you would like to add on this?
I have come from the background which I feel Kiranji's come from.
Okay.
I didn't get married like her, but I've seen all my cousins and many people in my family getting married like that. Papa ne final kar diya, ladke ladki ko dikha diya, shadi ho gayi, and almost all of them are happy. None of them are unhappy. Conditions nahi hoti thi itni zyada. So I think the mindset was that, okay, we are getting married and adjustment should be there. And I always believe that if I stay with my mom also today for life, we will fight. We will have differences.
Of course, as you grow.
I got married with this mindset, and I told my mom-in-law also that I fought with my mom also, and I'll fight with you also.
Okay.
I had lots and lots and lots of ups and downs in my marriage. We fought. And I still love him the most. It's a love marriage. I couldn't get to the idea of getting into arranged marriage. Matchmaker, after thinking of doing this topic, I thought if I have to give my list to a matchmaker, what will I write? And why do we judge the matchmaker? Look, 5 minutes. Why do I judge the matchmaker? Because if I am putting out my wish list, I will obviously put out something. Okay, I need educated man. I need a person who is like either a family oriented or a nuclear family oriented. Homely.
But the matchmaker needs to stop you at that point and also say that, okay, yeah, we need this, but you can also look at that. I feel she should or he should be a responsible citizen of society to that extent. Take the person's list. That's fine. What do you say, Surbi?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if I were to become a matchmaker, which I would happily do if the kids would want us to do such a job today, but the point is just to get them together and leave it at that. Let them decide. I am definitely not going to go like mommy and go to an astrologer and then a life coach and then a somebody and try to get them together. No, let them think for themselves what they want. I can, of course, I will know the families. I'll try to bring them together to that extent, and that's that.
Surbi, when we are matchmakers, I think when we are matching too many biodatas throughout the day, they also get experienced that I am going to face this kind of a question, trouble, and they understand what the mindset of different people, because thankfully we have not come across
Aparna, Dipanshi, would you all like to add in something before we sign out?
Yeah, matchmaking is more of a consulting business, I would say. So we cannot blame the matchmakers. And in terms of Seema auntie, the way she was going, like sending people to life coaches, and then she was going to the space reader, astrologer, and whatever. So that is like, you're consulting a third party for being doubly sure and for a better verification. That's it. So matchmakers cannot be blamed, and it is just about the two people who are going to get married and the families who will be involved. It's about more about the alliance. Because,
so it's safe to say that at the end of the day, even if there is a matchmaker that you have, we still depend on destiny. Because at the end of her show, even Seema auntie said, "Aakhir mein to she did go to the Panditji and face reader and astrologer." So we have to leave a few things to chance, to fate.
Yeah, you
right?
have to leave few things to the universe. If you are destined to meet, you will meet. See, for example, in my case, I got married to my immediate school time senior, and we never spoke. We never spoke to each other, despite of studying in the same school, and but we somehow gelled well, and we were, I think, kind of distant rivals, you can say, because his friends were not too good with me and all. So we had shared that kind of relationship, and it was like everyone was shocked कि ये कैसे इनकी शादी हो गई. And my marriage was an arranged marriage, but it wasn't something brought together by a matchmaker. Just, दो लोग बैठे साथ में दुर्गा पूजा मंडप में, and things got finalized.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'll interrupt you here. We'll have a quick takeaway from Aparna. Is there something that you'd like to say on great Indian matchmaking?
Actually, I'll tell you what, I agree with Sukirti and then Dipanshi too. Actually, all of you, to be honest, because, I'm not going to say destiny or whatever. I'm just going to say that it is, if you do match, you match. And sometimes the relationships work out for 20 years and then they don't. Sometimes they work out for 5 months and then they don't. That's fine. That's completely fine. I think this mindset about, oh my God, we can't live without partners, that is something that needs to change. However, matchmaking is a business. I only wish that this Indian matchmaking show was not made in this way. I mean, it was not made glorifying, but telling the girl that तुमको ऐसे करना चाहिए, ऐसे करना चाहिए, ऐसा करना चाहिए. Oh, if stars only don't align, तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं? It is nothing like that.
Safe
Girl
to
has a choice.
So I think it's
something,
safe to...
Pooja, here.
Yes, please.
Aparna, when we watched Kabir Singh brought out a lot of
I had the same problem with it. Celebrating misogyny was my problem. The problem was not that they portrayed Kabir Singh. The problem was that they celebrated that misogyny.
But at least it got people talking. So the same thing people are saying, oh, it's regressive.
But 90% of the people are not. It's just us privileged people who are sitting on Sipping Thoughts and talking about this in this way. I know a lot of my relatives who are like, oh my God, एकदम सही बोल रही है. ये अपर्णा कितनी बदतमीज औरत है. इसको तो बिल्कुल नहीं आता कुछ भी. ये तो ऐसे ही करती रहेगी सारा दिन, सारी जिंदगी ऐसी अकेली पड़ी रहेगी. Lot of people. My neighbors, the reason I'm not sitting on a table and a chair today is because they're extremely loud people who love Indian matchmaking show, and they keep talking about how amazing it is. So we are very privileged, educated, independent women who are talking here, and it's an amazing thing. But there's so many people who are actually learning from this and imbibing this as a good thing.
So it's safe to assume that that weddings all over are a gamble. As Meeta very rightly says, it's a beautiful gamble. But it's something, जैसे वो बोलते हैं ना, शादी का लड्डू, it's just something that if you want it, you want it. So you sit back, you enjoy the ride. And thank you all for joining us on the Big Indian Matchmaking Show. I hope you've all had a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.